Hello everyone. I am a monk. Today I will tell you a story about secrets of the Royal Monastery, how a queen became a python.
Once upon a time, there was Emperor Wu of Han, who was acquainted with an abbot named Qigong, and they would converse with each other very closely on a daily basis. The queen, named Shi Shi, upon seeing this, urged the king not to associate with that foolish monk, but Emperor Wu of Han did not listen and continued his association as usual. The queen, enraged, plotted to harm Master Qigong by secretly using dog meat as filling for pastries, then had someone deliver these pastries to the monastery for the monks. Unexpectedly, Abbot Qigong had foreseen this, so he prepared a robe with wide sleeves, made vegetarian pastries to put inside, and when the monk secretly placed the meat pastries in his sleeve, he took out the vegetarian ones to eat. After waiting to hear that the abbot had eaten, Shi immediately reported to the king that the pastries I used were filled with dog meat, and Qigong ate without noticing. Truly a foolish mortal with no moral or intellectual virtues. Will your majesty still befriend him? Hearing this, the king became enraged and went to the monastery to kill the abbot. By then, Qigong had also foreseen this, so he went outside the monastery gates to wait. When the king arrived and saw the abbot, he asked, "Why are you standing here?" Master Qigong replied, "I knew your majesty was coming to kill me, so I came out to wait. If your majesty were to enter the monastery and commit murder, it would defile this sacred place even more grievously." Hearing this, the king was shocked, clasped his hands in prayer, repented, and then invited the abbot back into the monastery to ask, "How could you have foreseen this, yet still mistakenly ate the dog meat pastries without knowing?" Master Qigong then replied, "Your majesty, I did not eat them." After saying this, he invited the king to the back garden, instructed someone to dig up the dog meat pastries, and found all 120 still intact. The abbot then sprayed them with sacred water, and immediately every 10 pastries transformed back into a dog, moving as normal. Seeing this, the king was astonished and realized the profound and vast magical powers of Master Qigong, and fully repented his mistakes. From then on, Emperor Wu of Han grew even more fond of Abbot Qigong than before. On the contrary, Shi Shi became even angrier and ordered her servants to go to the monastery to burn all the scriptures. During the reign of turmoil and upheaval, she fell severely ill and passed away. Then her fetus turned into a python, hiding in the back of the palace, unseen by anyone. Taking advantage of the night, she would reveal dream omens to Emperor Wu of Han, saying, "When I was alive I behaved unkindly, harming both beings and people, indulging in greed and malice. For this reason, I have now become a python, with a long body and large size, unable to crawl, with nothing to eat or drink, suffering immensely. Moreover, each scale on my body harbors venomous insects that bite and gnaw at my flesh, causing unbearable pain in my intestines and liver. I believe that because our destiny was intertwined with marital bonds, and now I have been condemned to such a lowly existence, your majesty could not possibly enjoy wealth and longevity alone without seeking a way to rescue me. Therefore, I beseech your majesty to show compassion and invite monks to perform vegetarian rituals to redeem me, so that, with the protection of Buddhist law, I may escape from this cycle of bad karma, for which I would be eternally grateful." Upon hearing this, Emperor Wu of Han woke up, deeply saddened, and wept. By morning he ordered the summoning of the Samon monks to the palace to inquire, "Among the clergy, who has the power to save the queen from this suffering?" Abbot Qigong replied, "Your majesty, the queen's sins are heavy. I implore your majesty to establish a platform for repentance and prayer. Only then can she be saved." Emperor Wu of Han agreed and requested Abbot Qigong to compose 10 volumes of repentance texts. Then, a 3-month vegetarian ritual was established in the palace to pray for the queen. One day, as the ritual was nearing its end, a strong fragrance filled the palace. Emperor Wu of Han looked up to the sky and saw a woman of unparalleled beauty standing in the void, clasping her hands and saying to the king, "Thanks to your majesty's meritorious actions in seeking repentance, I have been liberated from the python form and reborn in the heavenly realm of Daoloi. Therefore I must reveal myself to your majesty as proof. Now, with these words of thanks, I wish your majesty peace and safety." After speaking, she vanished from sight. At that moment, Emperor Wu of Han was both joyful and tearful, puzzled by the situation, and retreated to the palace to consult Abbot Qikong, asking, "During her lifetime, the queen harbored great hatred towards the abbot. What predestined relationship caused such enmity?" Master Qikong reported, "Your Majesty, the enmity stems from a past life, where there was an abbot and a supervisor living together in a monastery. In the monastery there was a water stand, and beneath it lived a benevolent insect that often chirped during the night. Its chirping sounded like that of a cricket or a cicada. Whenever the abbot came to take water for rinsing his mouth or washing his face, he would also pray for the insect to quickly escape its animal form and be reborn into the human realm. One day, when the abbot was away, the supervisor, annoyed by the insect's nightly chirping, which disturbed his peace and prevented him from sleeping soundly, caught the insect and cut it in half with a knife, then left it under the stand as before. When the abbot returned the next day, he noticed the absence of the insect's chirping at night. Searching under the stand, he found it dead. He mourned and cried, prayed for the insect, and tied a piece of red cloth around the cut, then buried it in the monastery's garden. Your Majesty, that benevolent insect was reborn as the queen in this life, and the supervisor in this life became me. Therefore, when enemies meet, they seek to settle past debts. If I were negligent in my spiritual practice in this life, how could I escape from the queen?" Emperor Wu of Han, upon hearing this, nodded in understanding and replied, "No wonder the queen often wore a red ribbon around her waist, never removing it, and I never knew why. One night, while the queen was sleeping, I secretly untied the ribbon, and she complained of back pain. When the ribbon was tied back, the pain ceased. Now that the abbot has explained such a contradiction, it's clear that the Buddha's teaching on cause and effect is indeed accurate." From then on, Emperor Wu of Han grew even more faithful in Buddhism, honored the Sangha, and devoted himself to serving the Triple Gem. Excerpt from Cause and Effect. When beings release this body, they receive another. If, while seeking to be reborn elsewhere, the conditions are not yet ripe, this body is not yet released. Like a caterpillar, which while its tail end clings to a spot, its head stretches out in search. Only when the head finds a place to anchor can the tail end be released. For humans, lying in wait for death is the moment the consciousness seeks a place for rebirth. Once found, one dies, leaving this body to receive another.